And I'm going to mute everyone again, but if you do need to unmute yourself, use *6. Why isn't PowerPoint responding? Yep, there we go. All right, so our seminar today, Tax-Free Transportation, How to Save Your Business Money and Retain a Competitive Workforce. My goals today, I want to give you a high-level overview of how you can save money by taking advantage of tax benefits related to commuting. I want to show you how easy it is to do it. It's not a complicated process. In Seattle, we're especially lucky with how simple this process is. And goal number 3, I don't want to put anyone to sleep. So I'd love, if you have anything that you'd like me to go into extra detail about, please let me know via the chat box. Otherwise, we'll try to keep it high level and not too bogged down in the weeds. The agenda, we're going to go over who Commute Seattle is, why we are interested in transportation issues, commuting trends in Seattle. I'll talk about what commuter benefits in general are, how to select a program that works for your business, and how to actually go about implementing that program. So Commute Seattle, we're a transportation management association. We are a partnership between Downtown Seattle Association, the Seattle Department of Transportation, and King County Metro. We have a vision to create a more livable, sustainable, and economically competitive Seattle, and we're doing that by helping downtown users live more and drive less by improving access and mobility to and within downtown. As you're probably all familiar, we have a lot of traffic issues in Seattle, particularly because the only way in and out of this town seems to be over bridges, and those are obviously limited. We can't just keep adding more highways and bridges into the city. There's also a rising cost of living downtown, so a lot of people are getting moved out and then have to commute back into the city, while at the same time, people are living in the city and commuting outside of the city at rush hour. So we've got a crazy combination of construction and new businesses that all impact the daily commute here. Our last mode split survey was in 2014, and the mode split basically breaks down the percentage of people that use different modes to get around during peak commuting hours. And we're looking at downtown Seattle specifically. This is our 2014 survey results. We're going to release our 2016-2017 results in just a couple weeks here, so be on the lookout for a new announcement. As of 2014, about 30% of people are still driving alone, but everyone else, so most of the city, most commuters, are taking some other mode of transportation. It might be the bus, it might be the light rail, maybe they're carpooling, walking, or biking. And this is a percentage that's been going down over time, but correspondingly, the overall population has been growing, so we still have about the same actual number of cars on the street downtown at rush hour every day. And that's something we'd like to see decline over time so we can all be free of a little more congestion, not have to hear all that honking every morning. We have a lot of really awesome commute options available to us in Seattle. We're really lucky in that we have multiple agencies providing bus service to and around downtown Seattle. We have hard rail like the Sounder train, we have the light rail, we have ferries, water taxis, a really great carpool, vanpool system, wonderful bike infrastructure. It's easy to walk to work for people that are able to live downtown, and we do have a lot of resources that support teleworking and flexible schedules. On top of that, there's all sorts of new apps, programs, and ways that people can get around more easily. For example, on the screen here, you can see Google Maps and also One Bus Away. Those use real-time transit data to tell you where the bus is, how long until it gets there, if it's running late, if it's coming early. There's all sorts of new providers like Reach Now, so if you take a bus to work in the morning but you have a business meeting, you can get in an Uber, rent a car to go, rent a Lyft, get to your meeting and still take transit home, so you don't need to drive downtown anymore. With all these great resources, how do we incentivize our employees to actually use them and take a normal mode of transit rather than driving downtown? Commuter benefits, that's the way. The federal government has set up these great tax allowances that will help support commuting expenses for people as a way to make it easier for employers to encourage their employees to do something other than drive alone. So it'll make it cheaper and easier for your staff to ride the bus or take a train to work. There's three main types of programs that you can offer commuter benefits with. So some businesses will use an employer-paid subsidy program. Others might go for an employee-paid pre-tax program, and still others will use a combination of both. And I'll get into more details about those in a little bit here. And these tax benefits are available to all W-2 recipients through their employer. So not available to the owners or major shareholders, but basically everyone else in your company can benefit from commuter benefits. And the company overall can too, especially when we're talking about pre-tax. So these types of programs are more valuable than ever. Not only can you save a little money in tax benefits, it's also a high-value, low-cost benefit to offer to your employees. So they're getting a really great benefit from their employer that makes them want to stay with the company, and it's really low-cost, low work for you. It's environmentally responsible. You can get all sorts of green awards for offering these kinds of transit benefits. You can improve morale and productivity among your employees, reduce congestion around your workplace, open up more parking for customers. If you are affected by Washington commute trip reduction law, offering commuter benefits is a really easy way to meet some of your obligations to reduce your impact on congestion. You can also apply for a Washington State B&O tax credit. Saves a little extra money that way. Another reason that you should care about commuter benefits and take the time to learn a little bit about them, thank you for being here, they are slowly becoming more and more regulated around the country. So we're seeing more cities that mandate companies have to offer commuter benefits, usually pre-tax, to their employees. San Francisco has been doing this for a while, since 2009. Quite a few counties in the Bay Area as well. And last year, New York City and Washington, D.C. also mandated that businesses have to offer the pre-tax option at least to their employees if they have 20 or more employees. Seattle, I believe, has considered this in the past, and there's a pretty big national push to make this happen, so I wouldn't be surprised if we see regulations related to this come up sometime over the next couple years. So now that we know the why, let's talk about the what. There's three different umbrellas of benefits that are covered under commuter benefit tax regulations. So there's three different ways that you can save. Transit benefits apply to buses, light rail, ferry, water taxi, and van pool. These are capped at $255 per month that you or the employee can get tax-free to put towards their commute. $255 sounds like a lot because in Seattle we are really lucky. We have pretty affordable transportation compared to other places. Most people's Orca Pass is between around $100 and $200 per month, but for someone who's combining maybe a ferry pass and an expensive Orca Pass, they could spend up to $255 per month. Another option available is the bicycle commuter benefits for employers who have employees who use a bike to get to work most of the time. On a month when the employee is not getting parking or transit benefits, they can claim a $20 per month tax-free subsidy from their employer that can go towards bike maintenance, locker storage, things like that. And finally, there's qualified parking benefits. So this is parking provided at or near the work site, and it can also be something like a park and ride, a location where the employee parks their car and then hops on a bus or maybe takes a van pool to get into work. Employees can qualify for an additional $255 per month tax-free benefit for parking, for a grand total of over $500 if they are combining parking and transit. So this can start to sound a little confusing. There's three different types of programs you can offer and three main benefits. So those three types of program are the employer-paid subsidy, employee-paid pre-tax, and a combination. They could relate to transit, bicycle commuting, and qualified parking. And at this point, it may start to sound a little overwhelming, so it's a good time to talk about third-party benefit administrators. These are companies like WageWorks or TranBen or GoNavia. You probably are familiar with some of them if you have a company that works with your health benefits and administers those to your employees. These vendors can take on the task of ordering a benefit for the employees, taking the employee's order. A company like WageWorks might have a really cool app or something where the employee logs in every month and says, I'm going to need a $99 Orca Pass, and then the WageWorks or whoever will order that Orca Pass and then tell you, the employer, how much to withdraw pre-tax to pay for it. So there's clever little things they can do. They usually charge either a flat fee or a dollar amount or percentage per employee. And if you are using pre-tax, the tax savings you get from offering pre-tax usually neutralizes the cost of getting a vendor. If you do want to go that route, we encourage you to shop around, but first ask your existing benefit administrator. And of course, we have a list of vendors who offer commuter benefit programs in Seattle as well. However, before going down that road, I really don't think most companies will need to hire a third-party vendor in Seattle because we have the awesomeness that is the Orca program. Here, Orca cards, you can use them on the trains, the light rails, the ferries, the buses, the water taxis. They're really a universal card, and there's 2 business programs available that are really great and can be integrated with any of these programs. So rather than offering transit vouchers and, taking these complicated orders, you can just provide an Orca program to your employees. There's 2 programs, Orca Choice and Orca Passport. Choice allows the employer to purchase cards at retail pricing. They get to pick what employees they're covering, how much they want to cover. If they want to load a flat subsidy or a Puget Pass on there, they do have to do a monthly administration of ordering every month for the employees, but there's a lot of flexibility about who you cover and how you cover them. So you could do a subsidy or entirely pre-tax or a combination there. For Orca Business Passport, you get bulk pricing that is about 50% off of the normal price, depending on where you're located and what normal pass the employee gets. You do have to cover all of your benefit-eligible employees at a minimum and pay at least 50% of the cost as a subsidy. So Passport is compatible with a 100% subsidy or a combination subsidy pre-tax program. And wonderfully, it is just one yearly purchase, so you don't have to do monthly administration for that. If you are ready to start thinking about the type of program you'd like to ask, these are the 3 options. If you want to subsidize your employees' commutes 100%, you'll go with the employer-paid subsidy program. If you want to help them get to work and lower their costs, but you really can't afford to pay anything, go with an employee-paid pre-tax program. And if you're wanting to partially subsidize their commute and let them use pre-tax income to pay the remainder, then go with a combination program. I did send out a toolkit that will have a lot more details about these programs and step-by-step instructions for how to get them started, but we'll go over them at a higher level today as well. So the employer-paid subsidy program is probably the easiest thing you can do. You just determine what subsidy you want to provide. It could be $100 a month subsidy. It could be Orca Business Passport. You don't really have to take employee orders or bother with a lot of specifics for each employee based on their needs. And it's cheaper than offering a cash raise at the equivalent value. If you had offered them a cash raise of that amount, you would have to pay FICA taxes, payroll taxes on it, and they would also have to pay federal income and FICA taxes on it. So the value they would take home would be quite a bit less. Let's bring that into reality and look at an example. So here we have Joe. Joe is single, has no kids, he rents his apartment, and he makes $25,000 a year with no other income source. Every year, Joe is paying about $5,196 in federal income and FICA taxes, and his employer pays $1,913 per year in FICA taxes. Joe usually buys a $99 per month Orca Pass for about $1,188 per year. If they're going to implement a subsidy program here, the employer could do something like offer Orca Business Passport, which is going to cover the Orca card for an entire year for Joe for $685 per year. So Joe is saving over $1,000 per year, and if he had received a raise of that amount, he would have had to pay an additional $269 per year in taxes, and his employer would have had to pay an extra $91 per year in taxes. The next option is the employee paid pre-tax program. So this is basically allowing your employees to use their own income that is pre-tax to buy the pass or voucher or parking that they would have bought anyway, but you're saving them money in terms of taxes by setting this up for them. You could administer it yourself or go through a third-party vendor, whichever is easier for you. Let's look at an example. Here we have Jane. Just like Joe, she's single, no children, and rents her apartment. She makes $50,000 per year with no other income source. Jane is paying $12,064 per year in federal income and FICA taxes, and her employer is paying $3,825 per year in FICA taxes. She normally buys the same pass as Joe, which is about $1,188 per year. If her employer decides to set up pre-tax for her and gets Orca Choice, then enables Jane to use pre-tax income to buy the normal pass that she would have bought anyway, she's going to save $388 per year in federal income and FICA taxes, and her employer is going to save $91 per year in FICA taxes, just helping her buy the same pass she would have bought anyway. And again, you don't need a vendor to administrate this, so you don't need to pay someone else to handle this for you. We can give you a free consultation and show you how to do that yourself. Third option, we have a combination program. So this is for employers who want to subsidize some of the cost, but maybe can't afford all of it or want to set up employee pre-tax for the remainder. Now we've got Joanne, who single, no kids, rents her apartment. She makes $35,000 a year, no other income source. Joanne's paying $7,461 per year in federal income and FICA taxes, and her employer is paying $2,677 per year in FICA taxes. Again, she normally buys that $99 per month Orca Pass for $1,188 per year. After, say her employer decides to go with the Orca Passport program. They get that awesome bulk pricing, and they decide to subsidize just 50% of the cost and let Joanne use her pre-tax income to pay the rest. Her employer, because of the pre-tax aspect, is going to be saving an extra $26 on FICA taxes per year, reducing the cost of Passport to only $316 per year for the employer. Joanne is saving $846 per year on her Orca Pass, another $78 per year on taxes, and overall saving $924 per year, just thanks to the Passport and pre-tax combination. And for someone who's only making $35 a year, that's a pretty awesome savings. So how do you actually go about starting and setting up a program like this? Step one, or pre-one, I guess, that's not on the list, talk to us, come to this seminar, check out our Employer Commuter Benefits Toolkit. We have a lot of information that can support you in doing the analysis, and I'm happy to work with anyone, and I'm sure our CTR staff as well would be delighted to work with anyone on the cost-benefit analysis here, examining your corporate values, and really getting ready to pull the trigger on one of these programs. Step one, actually, if you have the Employer Benefit Toolkit on hand and flip to pages 8 through 13, you'll see these same steps laid out with a little bit more detail. Step one, make a plan. This is the part where you're going to talk to your decision makers, your HR department, your payroll department, get a good handle on what your corporate values are, what sorts of benefits your employees expect, what they need to stay with your company, and what your budget is in terms of how much you could afford to spend on some sort of commuter benefit. Next step is to evaluate your employee needs. So you could do a transportation survey. If you're a CTR-affected company, chances are you already have this survey information where you know what sorts of transportation modes your employees are taking, where they're coming from, and what passes they normally need. We can also help you provide a template for a survey if you do need something like that. The next step, speak to a vendor. I know I was previously sort of advocating against getting a vendor, but you can still talk to one and learn a lot through that conversation. You can ask them what sorts of benefits they recommend, what's the cost per participant, what administrative tasks they would be willing to take on for you. Some might handle almost every little step, and other companies might only handle distributing the benefit or placing the order for you. So it's good to get an idea of the legal requirements and the actual work involved setting it up by talking to a vendor. But remember, they're going to be trying to sell you on their service. The next step, coordinate with your staff. So this is where you would figure out what type of subsidy you're going to offer or benefit, who's going to administer and organize it, who's the main contact for it. Usually it's someone in HR takes on this task. It's not very difficult, especially if you use an Orca program. It takes a lot of the complexity out of any of these programs. Draft your policies and procedures, determine when employees can enroll. Pre-tax benefits for transportation are different from pre-tax health spending, and that you can enroll anytime and change what you want from month to month. Maybe one month you get a $99 pass, and the next you get a $129 pass. Really easy to make changes. There's no reporting or burden associated with that. If you are going to do pre-tax, set up the pre-tax deductions. All that takes is your accounting department to set up a code that refers to the pre-tax transportation deductions, and that's just to keep your records straight in case of an audit going forward. Encourage enrollment and participation among your employees, and order and distribute the benefits. So if it's something like an Orca card, ordering those cards is really simple, and you can just pass them out to your staff and you're good to go. If you're ordering transit vouchers and parking vouchers and bike subsidy vouchers, it can get a little bit more complicated, but still definitely not outside of the realm of reality for any one person to handle. So what are the next steps for you today? If your company is currently doing nothing, talk to Commute Seattle about which option works best for your needs. If you're already subsidizing transit in any capacity, apply for the Washington State B&O tax credit. That is going to be about $60 per person if you're offering benefits, but it depends how many people apply because there's just a limited pot of money available. So that's something you can talk to me or your CTR contacts about anytime. If you're already fully or partially subsidizing transit passes, talk to Commute Seattle about enhancing the program and maybe enrolling in Orca Passport to get that bulk pricing. And again, you can combine Passport with pre-tax if you choose to do so. So, thank you for listening. I tried to keep this short so that I wouldn't put anyone to sleep with the mundane details of taxes, but now I'm going to open the floor for questions. Either I'll unmute everyone so you can ask out loud, or you can use the chat box, and I'd be happy to go into more depth about any of these topics or points of clarity. And I'm going to unmute you in just a second here. All right, you guys should all be able to speak to us now, or again, use the chat box.
It looks like Brian has a question as well from the chat box.
Go ahead,
Yeah, hi. I had read that there's a way to deduct what we're spending, the employer spending on the commute options from our B&O taxes. But it seems to be, you have to find a PAC code that's cleverly guarded behind the Beware a Leopard signs, and I can't seem to find any info on what exactly I'm supposed to do. I kind of hoped they would be covered in this.
Okay, the instructions for that are not as confusing as they have to be, but I don't have them on hand, but I'll send you a link. I'll send everyone a link afterwards with the step-by-step instructions for applying for that. Even if you go on the website, you have to go through multiple links to get to the actual part where you apply for the tax credit, so I will definitely send that along. I don't want to tell you incorrect information now, though.
Okay. I'm generally pretty resourceful and have failed completely to be able to get the secret codes away that I need to get to file this.
Yeah, and the instructions that I have found are pretty complicated and confusing, so I'll break it out as simple, as clear as possible with the actual links to the actual pages you have to go to. And it is due by the end of the month, so you've got about a week left to process it. And I see another question about the $20 per month bike subsidy. How do you ensure that this is given to bike commuters only, and what's the policy around it? There's not a lot of reporting requirements for any sort of tax benefits associated with commuter benefits. So the requirements, there is more for the bike one? And so for the bike subsidy, the requirement is that they cannot be getting the $255 per month transit benefit or any amount in terms of transit, and they can't be getting any kind of qualified parking benefit. So they really have to be exclusively using their bike. And I can send along the text and policy associated with the bike benefit. So they couldn't spend it on a snack to eat on the way on their bike ride, but they could spend it on bike storage, their bike locker, or regular bike maintenance. And I'll send along the details for that.
So, quick question in regards to that. If, let's say, the company decides to pay for bike maintenance, can then the company, no? You can't do like a tax break,
So you can offer the $20 per month tax-free subsidy to the employee, but if you wanted to offer them more than that in terms of a benefit, it would count as taxable income.
And that's really the point. A lot of bike commuters will opt for the transit benefit instead, even if they are regular bike commuters, because you can spend a lot more towards transit than that $20 a month in the bike benefit towards an occasional bus pass or something like that, and get that pre-tax as well. So if you speak to your bike commuters in your office, a lot of them would probably opt for a transit pass over $20 for bike maintenance every month.
Yeah, I know I would. Any other questions? I hope you guys did see the toolkit that I sent out. It was kind of a large file, so if you didn't get it, I'll send you a permalink for it. It's still a draft, so you're getting a sneak peek at something we're working on. I would love to hear your feedback about the content of the seminar, as we definitely shortened it from where it was before, the content of the toolkit. We want to know how to serve your needs as best as possible without putting everyone to sleep. Did you have something, Billy? Yeah, we can stop it.